Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and turn on notifications so that you will receive alerts when there are new episodes. Go get it.
That's what I tell them. I've been grinding for so long, I wake up and chase my goals. I go out and I go get it. How to code, that's all I know. I don't succeed, then I don't breathe. Success, what does it mean? If I conquer all my goals, then I'm living out my dream. Dig deep, go out and get it. Success Chronicles. Compete until it's finished. Success Chronicles. Go take care of your business. Success Chronicles. It's deeper than just winning. Success Chronicles.
Hey, what's up, everybody? We are here with Miss Arva Thomas, your executive presence coach, here with another topic session. And our topic today will be presentation skills. She's an amazing lady, lots of experience with this, and have been doing some amazing things. And first, I just want to say thanks so much for taking the time to do the topics with me, and I hope that all is well on your end.
Thank you very much, Chip. I enjoy these topic sessions with you, and things are going great here. School is back in session. Busy.
Busy. Hey, when you say it twice, you know it's for real. Busy, yes. Busy. Well, let's dive into it. I know you have some great experience and expertise on presentations and the things that you do in your line of work, but what tips do you have on presentation skills?
Right. Yeah. Presentation skills are so key. And, as the executive presence coach, presentation skills is one of the things that I teach in the programs that I offer, and helping people to improve their presentation skills, because that is probably one of the first things that people notice about you when they say, oh my gosh, that person has such executive presence. Or they might not say executive presence, they'll just say, oh, they have such presence. Well, where is that on showcase more prevalently than when you are presenting in some form or fashion? So presentation skills are very, very key. And it's funny because, presentation skills, you think of public speaking, and what do people think about when it comes to public speaking? They would rather have a root canal than do some public speaking, which is so sad. It's so sad.
So true.
When it comes to public speaking, it all begins in the mind. And I know we had a topic session on mindset, but I'm going to have to go back there for just a moment. And when it comes to doing a presentation or speaking in front of an audience, your mindset is what is going to help you to calm the nerves. It is what is going to help you to not focus on yourself, but focus on the people that you are there to serve. So that would be the number one thing, is your mindset. You have been asked to speak for some reason. Okay. What does that mean? You have an opportunity for a win-win. Why? Because you have something to share, and they have something that they need to hear from you. So start with that first. And then the second thing would be, okay, you've been asked to speak, or you've been asked to present. And when I talk about presentation skills, I'm talking the whole breadth and width of it. It could be an actual presentation that you're giving. It could be a keynote speech. It could be presenting in front of the board. It could be anything. But once you have gotten your mindset in the right place, you've been asked to speak. Well, now you need to know, who is your audience? Okay. What is it that they need to hear from you? What insights do you have that is going to help them to do something better, improve their lives, increase the bottom line, avoid some pitfalls? Who is your audience? Because that's going to determine what's in your talk or what's in your presentation. And it's very difficult to be effective and impactful if you don't know what the audience needs to hear from you. So I would say never accept a speaking engagement where they can't give you some details on the audience. For sure. And
Yes, big
then,
facts.
yes, for sure. And then the other thing I would say too is sometimes when it comes to doing a presentation, like, I've said many times that I'm a corporate trainer and this is what I do day in and day out in my normal 9 to 5 job. And so for me, sometimes I'm asked to speak on a topic that is relevant to the audience, but I have to go and reteach myself and relearn that topic because it's been a while since I have, looked at it. It's been a while. Maybe things have changed. Maybe there's some new information. So I'll go back and learn that. If it's a topic that I'm not totally familiar with, then really you got to do your research. I mean, there's just no bones about it. You have to understand it well enough to be able to explain it to someone else. And so not only are they going to be learning when you give the presentation, but before you can give the presentation, you yourself are learning and internalizing and understanding and making the connections to, oh, okay, I see what that means here. And I'll bet that this is a common pitfall. For example, I'm just, making something up at the moment, but just an example to help you see where I'm going and why it is so important that if the topic is not something that you have personal experience with or something that you have not been deeply steeped in, then you're going to need to do research on that topic so that you can be an authoritative speaker about it. So that's the second thing. So first was get your mind right. Second was know your audience. Okay. Know your topic. Those two go together. And then once you know what it is that they need to hear from you, who your audience is, and you've done a deep dive on that, now it is time to start putting your story together. Your storyboard actually is what I call it. So make that general outline of, okay, these are the topics that I want to cover in this talk, in this presentation, in this keynote, in this whatever. One thing to do is you want to kind of limit the number of topics that you cover because people can only remember so much.
Yes.
Generally speaking, try to limit it to no more than 5. No more than 5 big, encompassing topics. And you will start your outline. So, that the beginning of the stories, the middle, and then the end of what you are talking about. And as you are storyboarding, as you are making that outline, start making some quick notes about, I want to be sure that I talk about this when I talk about XYZ topic. Okay. Make a note to yourself. Let me tell that time about the story that blah, 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 which is going to illustrate the topic, right? So start taking those notes. And this is just a skeletal outline. This is so you can know where you're going. This is your GPS for your talk or your presentation. If you're doing a formal presentation with like slides, this would be your agenda slide. Okay. And the thing about those types of formal presentations where you have like a slide deck or a PowerPoint, Google Slides, Prezi, whatever it is, your agenda starts out as one thing, those topics that you list that you're going to be talking about. But by the time you get through the end of the presentation, as you are drafting the presentation, it's going to change. Many times it changes. So you have to go back to that agenda and be like, ooh, okay, let me change that to make it say or make it match what it is that I'm going to say in the presentation. So that would be the third thing. So that's sort of putting your story together. So once you've done that, now comes the fun part. Okay. Now comes the fun part. You are going to add a story element to your presentation. Storytelling is key. Storytelling is what makes your presentation memorable. Storytelling is what helps people to retain what it is that you have told them. So you have to have a story element. Now, am I talking about, once upon a time, in a land far away? No, not necessarily.
Right.
Not necessarily. That's not what we're talking about here. We are talking about, like I said before, when you outlined your topics and you made a note to yourself and said, hey, let me make sure I tell this story. Okay. You can do that with several or all of the topics that you plan to illustrate in your presentation. And in addition to those little stories that you tell along the way, your whole presentation can have a story arc to it. So when you start out, you have some element of a story. In my presentations, one time I used that's actually getting into the killer open, so I'll save that for a minute. I don't want to get ahead of myself here now, but I once was giving a presentation about some very compliance-oriented things, and I wanted the audience to really put themselves sort of in a different set of shoes. So I said to them, okay, let's pretend that, let's look at this rather as a test prep class. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're in a test prep class. Now, you either know someone that's taken the SAT, you have taken the SAT, you have taken some sort of test, somewhere in your life. For the audience that I was dealing with, they had all, they all had some sort of academic background. So I said, okay, know your audience.
Mm-hmm.
So then I said, okay, I want you to treat this presentation like a test prep course, and I'm going to take you through. I'm going to tell you who are the people who your study group is for this presentation, for the topics that are in this presentation. I'm going to tell you who to gather for your study group and what you can expect for the outcomes for this test prep course. But that was an example of a story arc. So I started out with that. I wove that element into all parts of the presentation periodically. And then when I ended the presentation, I ended it with that same analogy or that same story. And they were able to put themselves into the story. That is the key to keeping audience engagement. That is the key to retention to what you are presenting on as well. And it is also the same thing that comedians do. Okay? Comedian will start out the set.
Yeah.
They'll set up a little jokey joke. Okay? And you'll be like, oh, ha, 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 okay, that was funny. Well, throughout the set, they sort of weave it in there again. They go back to that point again. Okay? And each time they do, it gets funnier and funnier. Okay? Because they're just sort of adding more to it. What happens when they get to the end of the set? they bring it right back
Bring
around
it right
again.
down. Mm-hmm.
So that is what we do as presenters in whatever format this presentation is coming in again. So so there's the storytelling element, there's weaving it throughout your presentation. And then there's also looking for that connection. Where can you connect with the audience on that topic? Is it something you've experienced yourself? Is it something that you know they have experienced and you have the answer to whatever the problem was? Or you can present them with a new way of thinking of things. Okay, so connecting with that audience through the way in which you tell the story, the parts in which you can be, it's like you're giving them the benefit of your experience. What was the name of that book? Bending Time. I forgot the name of the author, but it's called Bending Time. What is the quickest way to bend time, to save time, is to benefit from someone else's experience. They say experience is the greatest teacher. That is true, but it doesn't have to be your experience.
Mm-hmm.
You can use someone else's experience and benefit from their experience, which is another reason why, as I said in the beginning, get your mind right, because having an opportunity to present is a win-win. It is a win-win. And then let me see, what would I say finally? And this is, I said I was going to tell you about one thing that you need to do at the beginning is to have a killer opening.
Okay.
It's got to be either funny or surprising or make them think, but you need a killer opening. So at the beginning of your presentation, you start with a killer opening. You tell them what's in this presentation for them, or what's in this talk for them, why they need to listen to you, what you're going to tell them, and then you begin. And then you begin.
Okay.
So those are just the parts of presenting. Like, I haven't talked about like body language or anything like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's a lot, but
It is.
what I've shared thus far is just that basic sort of outline of the things that you need to keep in mind so that you can be a powerful presenter.
Yeah, I love the tips you shared. And I wholeheartedly agree too on there's lots to it. It can get deep. I think you get better with reps
Yes.
because you see, you know, what you're comfortable with, what you're not comfortable with, how this worked with this group, how this did not work. And I think, you know, ending, and then I'll go back and kind of say some other deals. I think for me, ending, I always strive to find something that I can improve on each time I speak. So I push myself to be better, and I record, you know, audio or video, and I watch it because I want to be better at my craft. I want to be great at my craft. And so I guess that's just the sports background in me. You got to watch the tape, you know, to make sure you see what's going on. And
absolutely.
Yeah, check out your steps and those kind of things. But the basic tips I have, you know, for me, I want to start with a quote first. I think your interview allows you to impact your outer view. And for me, what that means is, and you kind of hit on this too, you have to know yourself and know your experiences and know what you've learned from those experiences, and then take those lessons that you've learned and use those to share and help others in making relevance, right? And so I start with that because and I'll share this, I've shared this with a few people, like naturally I'm an introvert, right? I'm an introverted guy. And so I really, I don't want to be the life of the party. I'm okay with none of that, like I'm okay with me,
Right.
I don't have to have all of that. Right. And so, but in speaking, my passion allows me to come alive because, like you mentioned earlier, there's some things that I've experienced that, I know that if I share, when I share, it will help others because they were things that hurt me to the core. I'm sharing how I grew through those in hopes that you, audience, can move more efficiently and effectively. All right. Which brings out my passion because it's authentic and it's genuine and it comes from a pure-hearted, real place. And so, like, when I speak, I apologize to them, in advance. You talk about that killer opener. Hey, I'm gonna tell y'all right now, I'm gonna go ahead and apologize because there's some things that I'm gonna be passionate about, and it's gonna come out because I've had to grow through it. So just bear with me and be patient as we go through that. And so I think from there, the next step is your preparation. Your preparation is key. When you know what you're about, when you know what drives your passion, when it comes from an authentic place, now you prepare. Like I said, for me, I strive to be a great speaker. Like I know your time is valuable. So if you're giving me your time to allow me to speak, to pour into you, to encourage you, hey, I'm bringing you my A game. Exactly. Like period. Exactly. I'm not wasting my time. I'm not gonna waste your time. So get ready because I'm gonna bring you my A game. Yes. And so in that, you have to do your preparation. I watch other people speak. I do research on speakers. I do, like I said, I watch myself. Like I push myself every time with the reps that I get to strive to push myself to get out of my comfort zone. Okay, so this presentation, do this. Like I've never done that before, and just to experiment on certain things just to see how it goes. And then that gets to the relevance piece, and you hit on that too. It's important to give the audience what they need, know your audience, because at the end of the day, I can speak all day on chip, but if I've come in and I've spoken all day on chip and I haven't given the people, the audience, what they need, well, that's a waste of time. Yep. Right. And so we don't want to do that. We want to make sure that, like you said, you talk to the people that's setting it all up. And what are your core values? What are your beliefs? What are your pillars for success? All of those things that you need to know in the organization. I even, like when I speak in communities or schools, or like I'll go early, I'll ride around the community. Like in schools, I'll get in the hallways and talk with kids. If I'm in an organization, before I'll stand at the door as people come in and just talk to people, just to get a feel for everything. And I think when you do those things, it allows you to give them what they need, and then you can make it more relatable and relevant. Right. With your stories, and you talked about stories as well, that you give them because you know where they're coming from, you know what it is. And then the last piece that I'll hit on is knowing your flow. And you talked about that, your storyboard, how you set your speech up, and different people do different things, but I feel that you have to do what makes you comfortable. Yes. All right. And so, yes, be uncomfortable to stretch yourself with some things, because in that experience, you find out what you're comfortable with, right? And where your secret sauce is in your speaking. And so those are the points that I had as far as, presentation skills. And I agree with you. It's deep, like it's a lot to it. Like, I mean, you can go into like how you're presenting, you can go into the business side of it. You can go into, like you said, body language. You can go into the audio visual technical stuff. So there's lots of different pieces that come along with presentation skills, if you will. But I think we've hit on some good ones as far as, people that are starting, or people even that's, veterans in the game.
Yeah.
Can also get some great tips from this content.
Yeah, I think so. And I love what you said, Chip, about really being authentic. Really being authentic, because that is what resonates with the audience. If you come with an air of pretense, they're going to see right through that. And it makes it difficult to connect with the audience. What makes a speech great, what makes a presentation great, is the fact that you connect with the audience. You connect with the audience, you give them what it is that they need, and you do it, like you said, from a place of pure heart, and you have passion about the subject, and you can speak authoritatively about the subject as well. So, it's an experience that you've had. It's something that you have grown through, like you said, Chip. And if it is, if the topic is not something that you have gone through yourself, if you research the audience and you know what their pain points are, and you know what pitfalls that they need to avoid, then you still come with authenticity if you have the answer to those.
Right.
You identify with what their struggles are, what they're going through, and then you provide a solution, or you provide an example of someone who has come through on the other side. You provide them with a blueprint for how to be successful in whatever it is. And this can apply to like speeches and keynotes and business presentations. It applies to all of it. But what's really important is you. You are the key. Your preparation is key. I love when you hit on that, because it's difficult to be impactful and effective if you have not prepared.
Yes.
If you haven't done your homework, even if it's something that, you talk about all the time, like the back of your hand,
you still have to prepare.
You still have to prepare, and you need to know, like, okay, I love that that's another thing that you talked about, when you go early and you check out the town, or you check out the school, you look at the space, you walk the space. All that is really important, because that gives you even more of a sense of, relatability, like you said. It also gives you confidence, because now you're not walking into the complete unknown.
And that's not a good place to be.
No.
When you're striving to deliver something to someone, like you want to be, they need to feel that you are in their space.
Yes.
Right? And I don't mean like in their space, like in their, like I mean that you are actively making an effort to be with them.
Right.
Right. Like, I'm not coming in saying I'm this, I'm that. No, we're together. Right. In this, we're going to learn and grow together with this experience. And my goal and my hope is that when I leave you, we all are better. Right. Yeah. I'm not, that we have a great experience together. I like to, you hit on the preparing piece. And I just want to touch a little bit on certain people have rituals or certain things that they do. And there's something that I do. And this is something that's happened to me. This came up as you were saying that the last couple of times I spoke, this has happened. So it's pretty funny. I want to share it. But I have a ritual that I do. And I guess from an athletic perspective, like I go into like a focus zone, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
like a quiet, reflective focus zone, because I want to make sure that I'm prepared, like
Mm-hmm.
before I go on, and like it's not a loose, like hanging with
Right.
people, like, hey, no distractions, back up,
Right.
it's those kind of things, so I can get in the zone.
Yeah.
And the last couple of times I spoke, like I say a prayer.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I kind of go through my points in my head.
Mm-hmm.
I focus right before I get on. And the last couple of times I've spoken, there's been like a person that has like walked by me, right? And they're like, "Are you
Mm-hmm.
speaking?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Are you nervous?" Like they looked at me like, "No, I'm not nervous. I'm just getting in the zone." I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
but like that's just my ritual, my thing. And so it was funny to me. And the one person I was like, "No, I'm not nervous. I'm just ready to give it to y'all."
Right.
So you
Right.
better get ready.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so I wanted to share that one with you, because I think everybody needs to have something that they do that's
Right.
their routine, that they're comfortable with, because the routine allows you to be more comfortable with what you're
Mhm.
doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now, when you said that the person asked you if you were nervous, it made me think about um, when a person gets up and speaks and they are nervous and they say, "Oh, I'm so nervous."
Mm,
Don't do that.
yeah. Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
do that, because that undermines your credibility,
Right.
you know? So even though you are nervous, remember, this is a win-win.
I
You
love
have
that.
something valuable to share.
I love that.
So, and you know your stuff, and you have done your homework, you have researched your audience, you have figured out what it is that they need most from you, and you are there to give it. So remember, as I said in the very beginning, take the focus off of you and put it on them, meaning how it is that you can serve them. And that will help tremendously.
I love that. Well, in
Mhm.
closing, before we get off, I'd love for you to share with the audience where they can go follow you and check you out with all the amazing things you're doing with your executive presence. So they got a little taste of the goodness here
Yes.
with this topic session. But if they want to have a deeper dive in what you do and check out some of your services, I'd love for you to have an opportunity to discuss that, so they know
Mhm.
what they need to do.
Awesome. Great. Thank you so much, Chip. So you can actually find me at my website, which is bluemonarchspeaks.com. And on my website, you will find information about a couple of programs that I offer, which are on executive presence. Now, today, as you know, we have talked about presentation skills, which is an integral part of developing and cultivating your own brand of executive presence. So we talk about this in the program for cultivating your executive presence, as well as several other key soft skills, which will help you to stand out and really, really be set apart, like the good word says.
Come on. Amen.
um, and so I offer a group coaching program for executive presence, which will include the presentation skills. And then I have a one-on-one coaching program for various elements of executive presence. It could be the entire program or just the elements that you need to focus on. I am also considering doing a course or a program specifically just on presentation skills. I hope that you could hear the passion with which I
Yes.
talk about presentation skills, because it's so important. It is part of my everyday, job. There's a lot more that, we don't have time to cover here during the topic session, but this is definitely my wheelhouse and my passion, and my definitely an area of expertise. So I would love for you guys to connect with me on my website at bluemonarchspeaks.com. And from there, you can find me everywhere else. You can find me on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, even YouTube. So all of that is in the footer of my website. So you can just click on the buttons and find out more about what I'm up to. But, our tagline at Blue Monarch Communications is we develop leaders into executives. So let me take you on that journey from leader to executive so that you can scale the career ladder, start that business that you wanted to, or scale your business, if you will. All of that is available through Executive Presence. So I'll look forward to hearing from you.
Well, there it is. Again, I just want to say thanks so much for taking the time to do this topic session. And thank you guys for checking it out. Had a great time with Arva Thomas on the topic session. God bless. We'll see you next time.
And go get it.
And go get it.
Go get it.